classes and like those media programs seem to like take me immediately. And if you met Miss Macon, she took me and she was like, no, you're gonna go talk to Miss Subert and Mr. Gleason. And I was able to get into Mr. Gleason's film class and KCAV like that freshman year. I had to take 0 period, but it was well worth it, I think. And it's all history from there, because like Cleveland and the Media Academy was such a good base for me. Like looking back on from USC to Cleveland, it's clear to me that everything you learn like in this Media Academy is probably extremely relevant to what you'll do later on if you really apply yourself and try to learn about the techniques we use, the equipment, because all that's going to stay the same. It's just going to get more expensive down the line. You still always have a camera, you still always have sound, you still always have to write the script. And the teachers and the program here really gives you such a good base, I think, for making media in general and understanding the components of film and television. I didn't do as much animation. I did a little bit of animation. I'm not sure how big animation. Mr. Katie was such a cool guy though.
He's still here. The kids either do the video production,
Yep.
K-Cap job, or they do animation drawing.
That's so cool. Yeah, because Mr. Katie's also awesome if you ever get to talk to him. Really cool guy. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of how I got to Cleveland. And then what do I think you should focus on while you're here? I would say really understanding, because everyone's different, right? Some people want to be writers, some people want to be directors, some people want to be editors. Like, I think it's really important to understand everyone else's job. So like, even if you are directing, you need to be there with your cinematographer, learning what they're saying and like understanding the pieces so that when you're directing, you can communicate to them in their vocabulary so it's very efficient and easy. I would just have fun, because like KCAV is so much fun. I remember we would just make roll-ins and just have fun with it. We did an epic mealtime roll-in. That was so much fun. I mean, I don't know how much freedom you have to make roll-ins. We did sports roll-ins, the epic mealtime, tons of different ones, and it was, I think it was just having fun, and I think you'll learn much more from having fun with it than like, oh, I need to make this short film and enter this festival and do this thing. I really think you just have fun making the stories you want to tell, practicing the techniques from it, and that will benefit you in the long end much more than like, I need to go to Sundance right now, because I think that's like a lot of the, oh, you have to do this or that, but there's so many different paths, I think, to getting into media, which is such a big landscape already. You can do so many different things as long as you're, I think, focusing on telling the stories that you're interested in. Next question. Do I think it's important to go to film school? The biggest question, right? Because we're all looking at like college applications. Who here is seniors? Anyone seniors? 2? Juniors? Sophomores? Freshmen? Okay, cool. So we got a little mix, but obviously high school, everyone's thinking, oh, college, like I have to do you have, what is it? What is the general app called? The like, for the college board? Like, I can't remember.
The SAT or the...
Oh, are the SATs even there anymore?
I mean, a lot of schools aren't taking the SAT.
That's crazy to me, dude. Like, they were so focused on that, but I guess with film school, it really doesn't matter as much. I think they still would look as a school like if you do well or not, or maybe not anymore. But I really think if you're looking towards film school, you can really emphasize your film and your storytelling talents more than like, oh, I'm a good tester, because that doesn't really apply to storytelling and filmmaking as much. But if you need to go to film school, I've thought about this a lot, and people ask me, oh, was USC, I went to USC and graduated in 2017 in the film production program, and I'm going to tell you, I learned more than I got in the first 2 years of USC, I had already done through Cleveland. Like, you have access to, you still use the TriCaster, right? So you have access to like the TriCaster, cameras. I don't know if you still have cranes. We had cranes and like a little dolly we could play around with. But all of the stuff you're learning here, I think, is super applicable to it. And you will be so far ahead of anybody like else, even though it's from high school, because all of the techniques and things you're learning are the important part. So I don't think it's necessarily important to go to the best film school in the world or a prestigious film school as much as it's important to really take advantage of any school you go to. CSUN is probably one of the, that was on my list. Like, CSUN is such a good school for film, and you will learn and use the equipment and different techniques and be able to further your knowledge and understanding of the craft more than anything. And I don't think necessarily it's the school that does that for you, even though we love to be like, oh, we need to go to NYU or USC or LMU. I think, especially with film and the arts, it really, you can do it anywhere and you can pick up the knowledge. It's more about how you apply yourself in these programs, because all of them are probably going to have you make movies and different things. But I really think, regardless of where you go, it's up to you to apply yourself and do, whether it's joining the different news programs that are there or making the movie with the short film competition. But I personally think we put too much emphasis on what college you go to when it doesn't really tell you what you're learning, your skill set, what you know, because your education and your techniques are what you bring, and that's far more important than what some teacher is going to teach you, because you thinking and practicing and learning and understanding the different elements and techniques will allow you to do much more than what they teach you, I think. Yeah. And then these questions were hard. Like, it was, let's see. So, diversity in the film industry, right? It has been lacking for a while, but I do think it's getting better. But for me personally, 2013, right? Or I guess 2009, wow. 2009, when I started at Cleveland, there weren't really any black filmmakers. You had like Spike Lee, maybe Tim Story, but I don't think, you shouldn't focus on if there are people there that represent you. You really should focus on what you want to do and go make that happen. Because if I had been like, oh, I don't see any African American filmmakers, I can't do it, right? I wouldn't have started in 2009 and now 10 years later be in the industry, right? So it's not as diverse as we'd probably like, but I think it's much more important than focusing on that is, if you as a filmmaker or an actress or anything want to do it, you just see yourself there and go after it. Don't even worry about, oh, I don't think they will accept me or any, you just go do it. And if you are the best and so good at your thing, they can't not take you. And if they don't, you just make your own thing and completely leave them. Because that's the other thing, I think, again, prestige, right? Oh, I want to work at Warner Brothers or NBC, but like, you also have the opportunity, because with technology now just going so quickly, you have the same technology as these studios on your laptop to do whatever you need to do, right? You can write scripts, you can get Final Draft, you can get Adobe Premiere, you can get Avid, you can get all these programs, and you can learn and you could make your own way if you choose to. But obviously, you can do as much as you'd like either way, I think. Let's see. What does my current career look like? So I work for a production company in Burbank called Morningstar Entertainment. They do a lot of reality shows, and they have a new scripted show called Wild West Chronicles, which I am both the lead assistant editor on Wild West Chronicles and the director of post-production for the company. But that is probably, it takes up a lot of time. Okay, that's probably a good thing. If you want to get into media or film or television, just understand that your hours are 12 hours a day. That is your typical work day. I know that's a lot and sounds crazy, but that is the standard. And the sooner you realize that like this industry, we just have long days. That is the way it is. But once you get used to that, I think it's fine. I know it's crazy at the beginning, but like you adjust. I know, I wish it wasn't 12 personally either, but it's just kind of the way it's been shaped because personally I think it's based off of like pay and like how we do it by a day instead of hours, so we pay you for the block. But yeah, it's sort of long at the beginning, but I think you get used to it as you continue on and forward.
Do you get much vacation time? I mean, the teachers
No.
work really long hours during
Yeah.
the school year, but then we get summer on.
Yeah.
3 weeks at Christmas, and everyone hates us for that.
So you do like, but you don't get to really control it, right? It's based off of the show you're working on. So like, if the show's shooting for 9 months, you're working for 9 months. And then there's a hiatus and you could have 3 months break when it comes back or whatever. So I will say, it's not like you're just infinitely going without any breaks. It's just you don't really get to choose when the break starts. Obviously you could be like, oh, the show finished, I'm just gonna wait, and then I feel like going to Europe. Go to Europe, come back, do whatever you want, right? But it is, I guess that aspect too is kind of a little bit, you just have to get used. I see it as like, I can only speak to film and television more, but like, it's kind of like a machine and you have to be there when the machine's running. Like you can't not be there. But when the machine's off, you're free to do whatever you want. Yeah.
I just hope the hourly rate comes out worth it. If
Yeah,
you're working 12
I would.
hours a day.
So you get the cool thing about 12 hours a day. You're automatically in overtime after 8 hours, which is super cool. So you do get paid reasonably, I think. I mean, as like a PA, which is like the starting level, right? I would still say it's probably close to minimum wage, maybe a little bit above, because you do get that bonus at, I think it's like 1.5 for the first 4 hours, and then anything after that is like 2 times. And it's rough, but just like anything I've realized, you have to just stick through it, because there's gonna be so many times where you're like, I deserve better, this is crazy, like why would you work this hard? But I think you really have to push through and like continue even when you really don't want to, because it's like the days do get to you. Like it's gotten to me sometimes, because you'll be on like that 12th hour and you'll see they're still going and you're just like but yeah, I mean, and as you after your PA, you go up and then your pay increases to the next level, and I think it's much better that way. And then the difference is union and non-union, right? So most people, when they think of the industry, they're probably thinking of union shows, which is like Breaking Bad, Supergirl, like every big one you think of. A lot of reality shows, I think, like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, I think that's non-union. But the union, you do hours in whatever field, whether you be a cinematographer, an assistant editor, a director, you have to work non-union to get your hours or your days so that you can apply to get into the union. And once you apply, then you can get union jobs. Because if you're not on, it's called the IER, the Industry Experience Roster, you can't get a union job. Which isn't to say you can't get a job, but unions comes with all the benefits I think everyone wants. You get, well, I guess it depends on the union, but for the editors, you get healthcare throughout the year after a certain amount of time, even if you're not working on the project, so it rolls over. They match like 401k, I believe, tons of stuff. And the union will set your rate, and that rate is very, very nice, I will say. Like, I have completed my hours to get into the union, So now I have to find my first union job, which is honestly the hard part. Or well, getting the first job to get the hours is the really hard part, but once you get the hours, then you can start finding the union job, and then I think it's up from there pretty much. But it's slow, because I graduated in 2017, sent out I think 100 resumes, right? Every company, nothing. Then student loans, 6 months. I went to go work at Costco for seasonal, and you got to do that. Like, I think you have to make the choice if you can do like a normal 9 to 5, or you could try to go after whatever, I guess, field is your interest, but there's a trade-off to that, and you have to kind of balance what you want to do, whether it's you want to go work at Starbucks from 9 to 5 and be writing every evening on your script till you get out your final thing, or if you want to do the 12 hours as a post PA or whatever, right? But it's kind of just a balancing act with that, I think, as much. I haven't worked with anyone famous, unfortunately. I want to get there too, but at my first post PA job, I was working on Better Call Saul, and I got to meet Ray Seahorn, if any of you know Kim Wexler from Better Call Saul, and she's super nice. What I will say is, like, there are some very mean people in the industry, right? We've all heard about the extremely terrible things, but there's also a lot of people that care so deeply about the craft and are so kind, and when you find them, it restored my faith a little, and I was just like, wow, like, they love this, and it inspires me, and they're so kind. They don't treat me just like trash because I'm a post PA, right? But they treat me as a human, and they're so kind, and they didn't really have to be, right? And I think you can get, especially because you don't know where your first job's gonna be, so you may run into that horrible experience, but I would say just carry that, and like, you can't always choose your experience, right? But you kind of just have to, it's the perseverance, right? Because if we all had perfect everything, we could be like, I got the job at Bad Robot, and then I got working on the next Lost series with James Camp, right? Like, but it's never perfect, and you kind of just have to keep on rolling with the punches and going. But yeah, I mean, I haven't met too many famous people, because I still think I'm still non-union, so the famous people I think are mostly all union actors and actresses. So once I get there, maybe I'll get to meet more, and that'll be super cool. But yeah,
You're an editor.
I am an assistant editor.
Assistant editor.
Yeah.
And which program do you prefer? Because we're using two now. We're using Premiere, now we're using Final Cut Pro.
So I think, so Avid is the standard, at least for editing in the industry, media composer. But actually on my new scripted show, Wild West Chronicles, we are using Premiere. So I am seeing like a resurgence of Premiere into the industry. I wouldn't say I see Final Cut Pro as much, but I would say, I think at least for editing, it doesn't matter as much as the program to practice the process of editing and making your story, right? Because you can do that in Final Cut, you can do that in Avid, you can do that in Premiere, and it's still all practicing cutting together the story. What if I take this close up and put it here? What does that communicate emotionally from the next shot, right? I think personally, I grew up on Adobe. Like, Adobe is my bread and butter, but I tell people not to do it because it's crazy. They expect $600 a year. I could make so much money, and it's still a lot. Like, that's crazy to me. They expect a yearly subscription of $600 for all their programs, right? I would almost recommend, I don't know if anyone's heard of DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci is mostly known for like industry color grading, but they also have incorporated editing and visual effects into their films, or into their editing product, Resolve, and it's incredible. $300 perpetual license forever, which is every update unless they change it too. So I would almost say I'm learning DaVinci, and it's hard because I'm so used to Premiere. I'm so used to Avid. It's a brand new program, brand new understanding, but I think once you understand how an editor works, it's just remapping those keys and instructions to the new one, because you're doing the exact same thing no matter what, right? But I think both of those are pretty good programs. I would say Premiere is probably the more industry-ready one, but I have seen Final Cut Pro used for a lot of graphics and a lot of reality stuff, because the background rendering in Final Cut is phenomenal. Really good stuff.
We all do this here, Adobe Creative Cloud.
Yes, that's good. I would say
I don't think they know how much it's worth.
Oh no, it's so expensive. It's definitely, if you have it, try learning Photoshop. I don't care if you want to just color your photos or whatever. Try Photoshop, try After Effects, Audition. Adobe has so much stuff, it's so useful, it's expensive, but it is really useful to learn these different, especially with Adobe, it's cool because of the bridge. You can use Adobe After Effects files to go into Premiere and make compositions and stuff. So if you have it, honestly, just like film, I'm sure you do shorts and fun little stuff, but just use that and mess around. Because I feel like that was 99% of what I did. I was also in senior board. Is Miss Coyne still here?
Yes.
Yeah, I was in senior board. I was for historian. So my also other KCAV member, Tim Toda, we were co-historians, and we did the senior project, the video. And it really is just, I'm sure there's tons of stuff you guys do for fun. Just filming it, cutting together a video for no reason other than the practice and just enjoying it, posting it, see what people think. Because it's that practice, that learning, that trial and error that will get you so much further than you think. Yeah. Let me see, I need more on that
I
list.
bet the students have questions too.
Please, any questions at all?
When you're a PA editor, what do you do?
So, as an assistant editor, okay, so I guess as a post PA,
Yeah.
when you start out as a post PA, you are obviously lowest rung on the totem pole. I literally got coffee every day. I would get lunch every day. I would clean up after lunch every day. I would do all the logistical paperwork that we would get from set, explaining the different roles and stuff. I think it's really important to no task is too small. I think you have to have the humility to understand, like, yes, I know I'm talented, I know I can edit, I could literally do this, but like, I know my function here is to be a piece to help everyone else currently. So the attitude that no task is too small. I'm happy to go get lunch, I'm happy to go get coffee, because I know in me doing that, you can focus on your work as editors already, right? Doing the film, as a producer, producing it. But when you start out, I will say it's hard because you literally went to high school, you studied, you went to college, you studied. You're like, I got this. Okay, now go get coffee, right? And it's just like, you think about it, but I think it really is the humbling of yourself to understand you need to just get the experience and fill that role, and you won't be there forever. You will not be there forever. If you are passionate and really show how much you care about it, I think you will be promoted faster than you think. But most people don't get the luxury of skipping that step. Most people, you have to start, and that is the bottom, and you go up and continue from there. And so that's the first one, that's post PA. And as an assistant editor, I do all the stuff we shoot on set, we bring it in, and I will organize, I will group the sound and the picture together, and I will prep everything for the editor to start working. And so that's much more hands-on, and what we would think as, oh, I'm an editor, but I'm still not technically even cutting the final story. That's the next step, right? So I understand you still have to do that. Of course I could edit. I edited how many roll-ins for KCAV, how many different short films, pep rally, everything, right? But it's step by step by step. If you want to go that route. You can also, YouTube is huge. You can literally start a YouTube channel, and if you're consistent and persistent, you could be PewDiePie, right? Like dude, he literally started just filming himself, right? Like, and is like second, I guess T-Series is bigger, but second, number 2 guy ever, and all he did was film himself. So if you do that, I think you can also do that option. It's a much more viable route now. But I would still say persistence and consistency in either way you go is important. Yeah.
What was one of your favorite episodes on KCAP that you did? We're gonna have to look it up because I think some of the old ones.
Yeah,
are still on
I
the,
remember we started posting them when, if you can find, I wonder, I have to look, because my favorite, so Tim and I, we made this roll-in when Epic Mealtime was like a huge thing, and like, so we made this insane like quesadilla burrito, and we had the girls volleyball team be like our Epic Mealtime people. I think that was my favorite, because that was by far like my favorite roll-in we've ever done. I'm actually in it, which is funny. Normally I'm always behind the camera, which is why I'm the editor. I'm very behind camera, but that was such a fun experience. And I mean, I think that's the creativity you can have, because I think you do have some roll-ins that are like set, but a lot of it, well, I don't know if it's changed, it might have changed, but you have a little leeway here and there into, what clubs do we want to do? What sports do we want to do? And all that kind of stuff.
Today's show was super creative, like super creative.
What was today's show?
Today's show.
What was up with today's show? What was fun about it?
It was, we started doing this like Friday morning live, which is like Saturday night live parody.
Ooh, okay. So like little skit
Yeah.
in it. Okay.
So the skit was that 2 of the boys in KCAV got like sucked into a like computer monitor.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay.
like they like went, like the corners were like different TV show like kind
Personalities
of,
or like genres.
like commercials.
Commercials. Okay. See, and that's what I'm saying. That sounds like so much fun. Like that literally sounds like fun. Like, and I think it's that fun when you just like, let's do it because that's gonna be cool. You get like the best stuff, period. But I'm trying to think. So it's still Friday mornings, right?
Yeah. It's like, it's at the end of second period.
At the end of second period. Okay. Have you guys, I'm trying to think, do you do, what was it called? What corners do you have? What are the,
Senior, club, late breaking, college, sports.
okay. So those have pretty much stayed the same. That's nice. I mean, those are fun corners, I think. Like, you can really get creative with it. Because I remember, like, some of college. Yeah.
Was there actually a political corner? Because I heard that they had that, but then they had to take it off because someone got too political.
I mean, I don't think, it might have been after me, but, like, that definitely happened. Like, it wasn't even political corner. It was, like, yeah, like, I mean, and that's going to happen, right? We understand we are all very different people. We all have diverse thoughts and opinions, and it's the ability for us to try to have a conversation rather than like shut the person down and be like, no, 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 and really try to understand people. But I could definitely see that happening with the political corner. Yeah.
So as someone like the filmmaking industry, I'm pretty sure a lot of us here we watch anime, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So we don't usually get like a chance to like, talk to someone from the film industry.
Yeah.
So as someone from the film industry, what is your take on like, like Japanese media or like, anime, or like just other media in general?
You're funny because anime is like my bread and butter. I love anime.
Yeah.
Dude, Demon Slayer movie? Yes, yes,
Yes.
yeah. Mugen Train, let's go. Yeah. It like talented people, so many kids literally everyone's going to college, so you just have to continually improve yourself.
Isn't it Adobe for certification getting
I will say, I don't know if it'll get you a job immediately, but certifications will definitely help. Because I think the most important thing is, well, I guess this is for editors, but if any ones that have programs, so even if a writer with like Celtics or probably Final Draft now, but knowing your program inside and out will put you ahead of everybody else. Because you will be able to do the functions they ask of you before they taught you. So if you get that certification for Premiere Pro, it's huge because it shows, oh, I know how to use this. I know how to do these different formats and such. So I would definitely say it helps, but I don't think it would guarantee you necessarily a spot. Maybe depending on, because there are different, even our media field's so big, everyone's using video now, so everyone has a video department. So it might help, but I still think that it isn't a guarantee, but it's definitely not a detriment. Like I would say, get your certifications. I got a Final Cut Pro 7, which was the one before X. I got certified in that. And I think it definitely does look good, like on the resume, because it shows that you're interested and you have taken initiative and like you're learning the program and you can use your skills for that. Of course.
I also got Final Cut Pro 7.
Yeah, see, that's what, okay. I'm a little biased. I hate X. I'm about 7. That was the one.
So hard, and
Yeah.
then they just went and made it super
Easy.
like, iMovie.
Yeah, super, they went consumer versus prosumer, and
Yeah.
people left it. And I was like,
Yeah,
because people, I've seen Final Cut 7 out in the industry still,
yeah.
but X, not as much.
Well, that's why I went to Adobe Premiere.
Yep.
Because you can set it up the exact same way.
Exactly, and Premiere, I see a rise in the industry for Premiere for sure. I mean, it's been dominated by Media Composer and Avid since its conception probably, but I can see slowly Premiere is coming up in the ranks in different projects. So I would definitely say it's good to know, but also if you get a chance for Avid, it's also a good one to know if you want to edit.
Is that what they're using in at USD?
Yes, Media Composer is their, they do have Adobe as well, but I think I used Avid, and that was for all of our classes. But,
Good to know. Is it hard to get into USC?
yeah. I mean, I think it's hard to get into any college, right? USC is hard too, but I think looking back on it, really, if you're here at this media academy, you have such a good shot. I want you to understand how much opportunity you have here at this media academy, because you're learning all of the stuff that I learned, we as a class, freshman, sophomore year, did at USC. And it's hard, but I think if you're here at this school in this program, you're probably pretty smart. You just really have to apply yourself and really focus down. 11th grade was crazy, dude, with the apps and all of the classes, but I think if you focus and really, USC specifically, it's not just a film school. You have to get into USC still. So you have to do all of your other classes. You have to focus on those. You have to really put in the work into both film and all the other stuff so that they can see he's a good student. She does well in film. Great, right? And that you are able to pass and get in. I still think it's hard, USC, but it's easier. I will say this, tons of my friends wanted to get in USC, did not, but USC, you can get in, if you do 2 years in community college, which I really suggest to everybody because it's oh my God. Even if you get into USC, you know how it's so expensive. I had really good parents that really kept me on track, so I was able to get good grades, and I got a scholarship which paid for most of it, which allowed me to go, right? But you can literally go to any community college for 2 years, take care of all the GEs, take care of all of the just everything for like few $1,000s, and then transferring into the film program, much easier. I think colleges are like people, right? They like we only accept like 1.0002% of applicants, right? That nice number that looks good. But you can get in after, and I don't think you would have missed as much. Like, for me, USC film started junior year, senior year. Because I already had the experience and the knowledge from Media Academy. And I know it's hard and it's only getting harder. The standards are only going higher, but I don't think necessarily, we've been told you have to get in freshman year or you're not good enough, right? But you can find avenues to go about it and still get to the same place. One of my best friends, Natasha, she didn't get into USC, but she told me she was gonna do her 2 years and come, and she did. And it was the coolest moment I've ever experienced, because again, persistence, right? You may not get in, it doesn't have to be USC, it could be NYU, LMU, whatever school you want to go to, right? But you can go do your 2 years at community college and then transfer, and I'm almost certain you'll get in then. Because then they'd stop caring about that big, small number that looks good to all the college admission boards and stuff, but yeah. But it's hard, and I think it's a lot of work, and you really have to be ready to put in that work. Like right now, you probably don't have as much responsibility as you will as an adult. You're not going to work, you don't have to worry about the bills, so I'd say now is your moment to study. Do you want to draw? You should be drawing every day when you get a chance. You want to write, you need to, after, obviously, I know there's tons of homework too, but in your down moments, you're just always practicing and doing that. And I think that will pay more dividends in the end, that consistent hard work, and you'll be able to get into any school you want at that point. But it may not be the path that has been told to you to get there, really. Yeah.
Have you been to the Academy Museum? We just visited the Academy Museum.
No,
There's
is it?
Pictures, and they have a Miyazaki exhibit.
Really?
that-
I heard about this exhibit and I wanted to go, but I didn't get a chance. But I want to go. It was beautiful, I'm sure.
It was beautiful,
Yeah.
and they were wonderful, and they paid for our buses to go there, so we loved them. But it was, how you guys say? How was it? How was our field trip?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
See, and Miyazaki, right? Classic anime, classic. That, I feel that defined most of our, a lot of our childhood, because those, we took them, we dubbed them, and then that became just viewing for Disney kids everywhere, right? So we've been exposed to anime for such a long time, but I don't think we recognized it as much. And Miyazaki's films are just, you look at them and it's beautiful, and you could study them, whether it be the simplicity of themes that really hit home, and really simplicity in terms of it's not this super complex Inception puzzle, but the themes that you get from just simple choices, right? From, which pig is your parents, right? Simple stuff like those choices really stick with you. And such a fan. What is it? I love Nausicaa. I think that might be my favorite out of all of Miyazaki. Close second is probably, what is it? Not Ponyo. Yeah. It's just so, I'm jealous. I want to go. I'm trying to go at some point, but work's so busy.
That exhibit's temporary.
Yeah, I know.
I thought it would be there forever.
No.
And they're nope,
Gone.
it's gone.
Yeah, but it's such a, yeah. And it's crazy. That's so cool that we're able, as we have become such a globalized society, right? We can bring these different cultural medias to here for us in America to exhibit, right? And it's so cool. We get to experience all the different lessons and understanding from a different perspective just through the animation that they did, which is, and Howl's Moving Castle, sorry, also up there, just incredible. But yeah. Anyone else? Yeah. lucky.
If you want to go to a competitive college, is it like better to
I would say it depends. So for USC, okay, I'll tell you a secret. My SAT was like, and it's changed so much, so it's hard to explain the levels, but like, it was like a 1500, I think, when it was like 1800. The numbers always are shifting, right? Because now it's lower, I think, total, because they got rid of the essay, I think. But SAT or ACT, I use my ACT score more than my SAT, because that fit with me. I do think it's helpful, just like anything, just like your extracurriculars are huge. If you can speak to, I'm in senior board, right? And this is what I do for my school. I am on the cheerleading squad. This is what I do. I think extracurriculars, your tests, all the little pieces, the extra stuff you do will really boost you up. Like, it doesn't, I think colleges are getting better at not seeing you as just like a selection of numbers. Like, oh, they got a 3.2, an SAT 1500, but at least for USC, I feel like they're more holistic in their approach. Like, oh, they got a 3.0 and everything's kind of iffy, but they were in leadership for 4 years and ended up president at the start and stuck with it. And if you can speak to that, it shows how dedicated you are. And I sometimes think that's much more important than, oh, I got the 2400 on the SAT or whatever, right? Because that, again, very important still. If you're smart that way, you can do it. But I think that's also one of the things we're told, you have to be this sort of smart to do this sort of thing so that you can get that sort of way. But there's really more than one way. And it's hard because, again, up till coming out of it, I was like, oh man, have to go to college, have to get in, have to do good on the SAT, have to do good on the ACT. And I mean, you can't do terrible. You can't just not try and flunk. But we put so much pressure to be a certain way, and you can do a lot of things without being that way. Yeah.
I have heard that it used to be you had to be like the super student all around. You had to do everything: sports, volunteer, leadership, blah,
Yep,
blah, blah.
yep.
And then I don't know if that's still true or more true now, but then I heard that it's actually really impressive to a college to become an expert in one thing. Like you said, pick one thing and do it all
Yep.
4 years
Yep.
and show that you progressed and that because your portfolios and the work
Exactly.
that the students are doing and that they'll be able to show, they keep digital portfolios.
No, oh, that's
I think
huge.
that's
Like,
so impressive.
so huge. Keep that portfolio. Like, I wish I've kept more of what I've made over the years. I have different bits and pieces, but definitely keep it, because when you look back on your journey, you can see how far you've come. And any job you're applying to, any school you're applying to, can see that and be like, wow, they started in 9th grade and look how far they progressed, right? And I really think if you specialize, it gives you that time to really learn and show that you are taking the lessons and the different ideas from different sources and putting it into one thing. But it doesn't have to be leadership. It doesn't have to be, oh, is that the new? Oh wow, that's wonderful.
That's
That's
sound,
wonderful.
right?
I mean, we used to have like a doo-doo-doo, but
Can
like
we say
that's.
thank you?
Yeah.